Double Diamond Rick Setzer. Come on.
Hi, gang. How you doing? Fancy meeting y'all here. Okay. Listen, what we're going to try to do for the next few minutes is this: is that a lot of times, right after a person sees the plan, we have some questions asked. And the biggest question we have asked is, what do you do next? And I think that in starting the business, getting your business started quick and getting it off to a successful start within the first couple of weeks is probably the most important thing that you'll do. So what we want to do for the next few minutes here is cover the beginning of your business. What do you do? In other words, when you're getting your business off to a start, wouldn't you rather get it off to a fast start than a slow start? Are you okay? Yeah. You're with me on that? It makes more sense if you're gonna do it. Let's do it well, and let's do it quick. All right. So, after we saw the plan, one of the first things that we looked at now, back when we saw it in 1971, we really thought we had something. Man, one of the biggest things that we had for goals and dreams in life was the fact that we said maybe this plan will work enough that we can make a couple $100 a month out of it. And boy, if we can do that, that'll be great. See, I read a book at that time called The Magic of Thinking Small. And the book The Magic of Thinking Small got my brain to some small thinking, and we really couldn't see very far down the road. And I know a lot of times after you look at the plan, a lot of this stuff doesn't seem feasible. It really doesn't seem that you can make this kind of money with this kind of effort over this period of time. But I want to tell you something. It's important for you to believe, number one, in the person that brought you to see the plan. It's important for you to realize that the plan does work. A little bit of history about the Amway business, the Amway Corporation. Amway was doing very well before we ever got affiliated with it. In 1969, to start off with, the Amway business started out in 1959. The first year in business, they did $500,000 worth of business. In 1969, they did $85 million worth of business. In 69 to 71, in 2 years, they went from 85 to 165 million. In 1971, we became affiliated with the business, and that's the reason they had such a growth over the next few years. Y'all believe that? Well, we believe that we did a little bit of it, but over the next years, from 1971 until 1977, at the end of 1977, we did almost $400 million worth of business. So the company is growing. Amway is growing by leaps and bounds today. If you could choose any time to be in the business and any time to be getting started in the business, today's the day. Now is the best time that we've ever seen since we've been in this business to get started. We're excited about the business for a lot of reasons. Number one, when you come into the business, many of you sitting in the room right now, you've got goals and you've got dreams. My question basically is this, is in getting started, what is it that you're getting into the business for? What is the thing that motivates you? Why would you pick up and do anything on the side? Why would you diversify your income? Now, something about income diversification I think a person needs to know. You've looked at the business and you're asking yourself some questions. Well, should I get involved in it? If I do get involved, how much should I commit to it? Is it going to be worth the effort that I put into it? Am I really going to make some money? I really don't know if you're going to be able to make what we've made out of the business. I can't guarantee you that. All I can tell you is that we'll be willing to help you. We make a lot of money out of this business. I think some of you have seen some copies of some bonus checks that we received last fall. In September of 1977, Sue and I have bonus checks written to us. If you've seen the plan, you understand bonus checks. We have a bonus check for over $2,200 written on 9/15/77. We also have another bonus check written for step number 2 for $11,955. We have a bonus check written to us for step number 3 for $3,400, which you total all those up comes out to be almost $18,000 written to us in the month of September for the month of August of 1977. The business does work. Now, but the thing about it is that was only 2 ways of the 9 different ways in this business of making money. So we do make a lot of money. All of the money we made there, we did have to pay some expenses out of it, and some bonus checks came out of it, and I think you understand the bonuses and stuff since you've seen the plan. Okay, but I think a question that you basically come back and ask yourself is, okay, diversify. Why diversify? Business people across the country today, and we've had an opportunity to talk to many, many successful businessmen. I have, as of this time, been able to find actually no one person, no one businessman that makes a lot of money that only has one income. So income diversification today is a fact of life. You do it, period. You know, I look around here in the room tonight, you know, and I see Richard sitting there, and he's a dentist, okay? Why does a dentist diversify? Why does a dentist go out and get into something else? It's because of many different reasons. One basic thing is the fact of that if he doesn't go to work every day, if something happens to incapacitate him, and he can't go to work, his income stops. And you know, as the wife, you don't have an income coming in there. You know, look around the room here. We've got preachers sitting in the room that are direct distributors. We've got pharmacists here sitting in the room that are direct distributors. We've got people in the insurance business, people in the real estate business. We've got people in every walk of life in this business. Engineers, salesmen, everybody in any walk of life is successful, building a tremendous organization and building a business today. Okay, the thing about it is that you can guarantee you making it. You're the one that guarantees you making it and not us. We offer the opportunity. The opportunity is there. It does work. It is a fantastic opportunity. But you know, the thing that's exciting is, what do you want out of life? Where would you like to go? What about some goals for a second? Let's talk about that. Why would you get into the business? Sit down and talk with the person that invited you to see the plan and showed you the opportunity, and ask them to sit down and spend a little bit of time with you and list some things. Now, I'm going to be covering what we're going to call suggestions, all right? Now, the suggestions that I'm going to be making here, really, I'd almost have to classify them as not suggestions, because, you see, I'm going to tell you some things that we did in the business that helped us to become successful. Now, I would like to say right now that I do not determine total success as just money. We make a lot of money, but we also have some other things that are a part of success that I feel that's important. Number one, I think that a person ought to be able to spend some time with their family, and that's a part of success. I think that a person should be successful in the business world from the standpoint of being able to relate to other people. I think that a man as a man ought to be a successful father and a successful husband. I think the spiritual part of success is important too, and I won't get into that right now. I think that the financial part is very important, and that's the part that most people lack. I think that is a total part of the concept of success. All I want to do is talk about the financial part here and how it relates to the Amway business. Now, these are things that we did. These are things that we've accumulated over the past couple of years. We've seen things that do work, and we've seen things that don't work. I can give you a real big list of things that won't work. We're compiling a list right now of things that won't work. And instead of telling me what it is, I can just call the number off to you. Number 43, is the products are too high. Now, those are you can use all kinds of excuses if you want to. You can use excuses like I don't have time. You can use basically any excuse that you want to. But the beautiful part about it is that any excuse is only going to satisfy the person that makes it. So don't worry about it. Okay, now let's get busy. What are we going to do? Okay, here's some things that we found out that work in the business. Number one, what is it do you want out of the business? Are you excited about getting out of debt? Would it be exciting for you to pay off that last JCPenney credit card, or pay off Bank AmeriCard, or not have to borrow money on notes down at banks? Is that what turns you on? Maybe one of your goals, would it be to get your house totally paid for, to furnish your home? What would you gals like? Would you like to be able to go down to a store and buy any kind of clothes that you want to buy? Would it be exciting to be able to take the kids in the fall when school starts and purchase clothes and not have to worry about your checking account? Just be able to buy them the kind of clothes that you want to buy them. What about you guys? Would you like to have a yacht? Would you like to have a house in the mountains? What about a car? Are you driving the car you want to drive? What's the vehicle? Would you get turned on with a motorhome? Would you like to have a four-wheel drive Jeep to pull behind your motorhome? Now, listen, you can justify buying any of these things for any reason that you want to. Like last month, I bought a Jeep. Some of you have seen it. Now, everybody needs a Jeep like I've got. It's a Golden Eagle Jeep. It's got the chrome wheels, 12-inch wide tires on it, straight drive, the mag wheels, the whole wrap. It's really, I bought it for my 9-year-old son. Right? I mean, he needs it. The statement that you'll hear a lot in life is that the only difference between men and boys are the price of the toys. Isn't that right? Now, some of y'all in this room tonight are basically like me. You can justify doing anything that you want to do. So you come up to a question of time. Do you have time to build a business? And I had to ask myself that question, because when we got started in the business, my time question was this. I taught school 5 classes a day. I taught school one night a week. I went to graduate school 2 nights a week. We were building a house when we got into the business. We grew 18,000 plants in a greenhouse, and I had to haul and sell those every week. So I was so strapped with time, I only had a couple of nights a week left to myself that I could do anything. Then a PTA meeting came along. Then another civic organization. I was involved in some civic organizations. They came along. And then it was a church activity of some sort. So by the time the week was over, I normally had about 1 night a week to spend with my family. So Rick Setzer had to make a decision. All right? The decision I had to make was, what can I go over here and quit doing and devote some time to a business to develop a second income that I don't have to work during the day if I don't want to, that I don't have to go to graduate school if I don't want to. I've got the degrees. I've got a degree in engineering. I have a degree in education. I have a master's degree. Somebody told me a long time ago that there was a correlation between success and education, and there is not. I know a lot of educated people today that are broke. I look around the room here, I see educated people in here. See architects, you know, their incomes go zip, zap, right? Isn't that right, Bill? Okay. You know, you have that happening. So there is no correlation really between education and success. Now, so what we're saying is basically an income diversification is that the Amway business is a easy way to diversify, number one. It is compatible to anything that you're doing. It doesn't make any difference whether you're an architect. It doesn't make any difference whether you're a school teacher, a mill worker, a ditch digger, a dentist, doctor, lawyer, truck driver, whatever. It doesn't make a bit of difference what you're doing and who you are and what age you are. This business is a compatible business to anything that you're doing, and the beautiful part about it is that there's no risk involved. And when I say there's no risk involved, you don't come into the business, invest in thousands of dollars, and then with the opportunity of losing that money. I think the beautiful part about our business is the fact that there is no big investment in coming in. The only thing that you're really going to invest any money in is the fact of coming in and buying the starter kit. You'll be using some cassette tapes, and you'll be using some other tools of the business, and that's going to be basically it. You know, you may wind up in the future have to buy a nice vehicle of some sort, or maybe a motorhome to take off and travel around the country in. So those are some problems that you'll run into, but you have to accept those things. Those are just problems that you'll run into. Now, I hope you're the kind of problems that you like, and some of you gals may enjoy being able to, well, you have to go down and buy nice clothes so that you can go to the meetings that we have, and so those are some things that you run into. So now, so the diversification part. We like the diversification part, like I say, because the time involvement is minimum from the standpoint compared to other businesses. See, when you go out here and get involved in another business, we found that if you go out and invest money in a company of some sort, or you try to do something as a sideline business, that it is so time-consuming that it totally consumes you, and you have no time to do the things that you really want to do. We got into the Amway business for a couple of reasons. One thing was that we wanted to build enough income at some point so that we could retire early. Now, I did not realize that retirement was going to come at age 28. In fact, it really came at age 26, because within a period of about 18 months, we'd built enough income out of the business so that we could retire, and I could, if I wanted to, quit teaching school, in which I did. I chose to do that at that time. In 12 months after we got into the business, we had personally sponsored 3 direct distributors. Now, that gave us an income on a monthly basis of close to $2,000 a month, and then we had our expenses to take out of that. I like today, because you see, today we have people coming into the business and are doing the same thing in a period of 4 months and 5 months and 6 months that it took us a year to do. I talk a lot about a friend of ours out in Tulsa, Oklahoma, named Bob Crisp, and Bob's going to be speaking on the latter part of this tape here tonight. And on the tape that he'll be talking about some things I think you need to know about him. First of all, Bob got into business. He was making a good income, a fantastic income in the insurance business, on the $1 million round table every year. And when he got into the business, it took him a few months to get his head screwed on right. When he did, he now has done in 3 years what it took us 6 years to do. We have better ways of building the business today than we did before. Now, so your time involvement in the business is important. I view personally my time involvement like this. I want to make sure that every hour that I spend, I'm getting a lot out of it. So be sure to sit down with a person that is getting you into the business and let them set a pattern of working the business. After you decide what it is, some of the goals that you want out of the business, whether it be a house, financial independence, a new car, pay off some bills, whatever it is, be sure to sit down with them and write those things down so that they can help you reach those goals. The second thing that you look at is how much time are you going to put into the business. Are you going to spend 1 night a week, 2 nights a week, 4 nights a week, 5 nights a week, 6 nights a week? How much time are you going to put into your business? It's your business. You're not working for the person that brought you in. You're not working for me. You are employed by you, and that is a beautiful concept. You are employed by you. You're going to have a lot of tax advantages by being in the business for yourself, too. Now, so when you come into the business, just remember to sit down and do what we call a program. For example, if you said to me, hey, Rick, listen, I'm coming into the business. My goal out of this business is to make $50 a month. And I'd say, fine. Let me tell you how to make $50 a month. All you really need to do at this point, it's going to be a minimum time requirement. If you would do this, you can go out and get you some retail customers and sell some products, and you can make $50 a month and never have to sponsor anybody, and there you are. So it's not going to take me a little while to determine that. Now, if you tell me that, hey, I want to be a direct distributor, I want to retail products and sponsor people. I want an organization of people. Now, my question to you is going to be, when do you want to be a direct distributor? Do you want to be a direct distributor in 90 days? Do you want to be a direct distributor a year from now? Now, I think it's very important that I tell you a very, very important thing we found out. It only takes 90 to 120 days to make direct. Now, I'm going to say it again. It only takes 90 to 120 days to make direct. If you stretch it out over 12 months, you will put about 3 times the work into your business if you do it in 12 months as opposed to 90 to 120 days. You actually spend fewer nights. You spend less effort by doing it quick. It's a thing called momentum that you establish. And so it's important. That's why we're doing this thing. We're basically telling you these things tonight so that you can get momentum on your side when you start your business. Because when you get momentum on your side, hey, listen, you've got the game licked. And that's why it's important for you to listen to what your sponsor and what the direct in the business tells you to do. They're only telling you because they've already been down the road before, and I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of people that will listen tonight, and they'll say, well, but my friends are a little bit different. But I'm in just a little bit different situation. My people, I understand how those guys do it, but I don't think I need to do it that way. And all I'm going to tell you is that if you think like that, you're going to spin your wheels for several months, like I did. I did a wheel spinning act for 90 days. And after 90 days, I was sick and tired of spinning my wheels, and I said, Dexter Yeager, tell me how to build this business. And he told me how, and in 90 more days, we were directs. Okay, so now I've decided I'm going to listen to the people that know how to do what I want to do. Now, I also showed the plan to some people that didn't get in when we first got started. All right? I have never to this day gone back and asked them advice about the Amway business because, you see, they didn't get in. And they weren't doing what I wanted to do. Most of them were broke financially to a point that they couldn't help anybody else, and I didn't want to know what they want to know. And you have to decide something as you're coming into the business. First of all, where do you want to go with the business? Do you want to be financially successful 5 years from now? If you do, then what you must do is approach somebody and talk to somebody that is financially successful in Amway now. Talk to me. Talk to another direct distributor. Talk to an Emerald, a Diamond. Talk to somebody that knows what they're doing and get advice from them. And I used this example last week. I took a trip down to Florida, and some of you in here know the results of it, but as I was driving down the road, I had asked Sue Lynn to make me a pot of coffee. And Sue Lynn's, most of you know Sue Lynn, and she's a pretty sharp gal, and she's pretty good, you know, in making different things. So I said, hon, would you make me some coffee, because I'm going to be on a pretty tight schedule. So she fixed me up a pot of coffee. Now, I should have known not to have her fix that coffee, because as I was traveling down the road, I got to thinking, Sue Lynn doesn't drink coffee, okay? And maybe some of you in here don't drink coffee. So what happened was she fixed me a pot of coffee. When I poured it out I was driving, and I poured it into the cup as I was driving down the road. I should have known when the cream was already separated from the coffee that I had a problem. It had not mixed together yet. And so I took a sip of it, and it was absolutely, my body started stiffening as it went down. It was the nastiest stuff I have ever put in my mouth. And I was trying to stay awake as I was driving, and I said, man, something's wrong, you know. And I got to thinking, Sue Lynn makes a good pot of hot tea because she drinks hot tea. She doesn't drink coffee, so she can't fix a good cup of coffee. I can fix a good cup of coffee. And it's a very good analogy to this business. People that's never been successful can't tell you how to be successful. If a person's making $5,000 a year, they can't tell you how to make $10,000 a year. If a person's making $10,000, he can't tell you how to make $100,000. If he knew how to make $100, he'd be making $100. So when you seek advice from anybody about anything, make sure they've done what you want to do. Okay, so that's just a little advice there. So now you've set your goals. You've decided what it is that you want. The second thing is you've already determined how many nights a week that you're going to put into the business. The person that's going to sponsor you into the business will help you do that. Let me tell you something about your sponsor and your upline. Your sponsor and your upline are committed to helping you be successful in this business. I mentioned a while ago that now is the time to get in the business, and I'll tell you something that we're excited about. Last week, or within the past 2 weeks, I personally have done meetings where we have had, in opportunity meetings, well, for example, in Florida, we had over 1,500 people in opportunity meetings in Florida in the past couple of weeks. Let me give you some results of what's happening. Some of you tonight filled out a guest registration card, and all it is just a registration about who you are, name and address, and a few items like that on there, and then you indicated whether you were interested or ready to go, you want to be put on a mailing list, or whatever. Now, after filling the card out, let me give you some results about what's happening now. 1 out of 10 people that we show the plan to checks the block that says, I am not interested, but put me on your mailing list. 90% of the people that we are showing the plan to today are checking either I'm ready to go or I'm interested, but I want to know more. Now, that's fantastic, isn't it? Why do you think that's happening? Why do you think that's happening? Well, you know, there's a lot of reasons it's happening. One thing is, have any of you in here felt the effects of inflation on your payroll in the past 5 years? Do you have a little bit less to spend now than you did 4 or 5 years ago? Inflation today is somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 to 70%. It is unbelievable what's happened in the past 5 years in inflation. So that's hurting people. People today need money. They need that diversified income. Okay, so we did our meetings down in Florida, and I'll tell you the last meeting, well, we were over in Gainesville one night. We had 500 people at our opportunity meeting in Gainesville that night. Now, after we did the meeting, we had 73 people that filled out the registration card. After the card was passed out, 73 people turned cards back in that night, had 73 cards turned in, which is about 150 people. And after the meeting was over, we tallied them up. 6 out of the 73 indicated that they were not interested, but they want to be put on a mailing list. Now, those are good odds. Saturday night in Orlando, Florida, we had another opportunity meeting. We showed the plan there. We had 800 people at the meeting. And we had a very adverse situation in explaining the plan. We had a band next door playing to high heaven, and they were going wild. And when the meeting was over that night, we had 223 people that filled out guest registration cards, which would be about 400 or more people that showed up to see the plan that night for the first time. Out of that, now hang on to this, only 7 people out of that group said, we're not interested. 216 people checked a positive response. And I think it's important that you know that. And the reason I think it's important is this. First of all, know that you're getting into a business that's exciting. You're getting into a business where other people are coming into the business too. Now, look around. Who are the people that are involved in the business now? Now, I personally made a judgment on the business of one thing. I wanted to be involved with the guy that showed me the plan. I wanted to be involved with people like Dexter Yeager and other successful business people. I wanted to be involved with people like doctors and lawyers and different people like that. I wanted to be involved with somebody like Bob Richards, who advertised Wheaties on television for years. He's, the heart of the champion, all the things that he did. Bob Richards is in the Amway business today. He personally sponsors 16 direct distributors. Now, Bob Richards doesn't need to be in the business financially for any reason. He's very successful. He's got a 10,000-acre ranch on the other side of Dallas, Texas. They just discovered natural gas on the property last year, and I personally know, well, I can't tell you that, but what he was offered for the ranch just a few months ago. He's a lousy tennis player because Bill Britt beat him in tennis down at Key Biscayne, Florida a couple of weeks ago, but Bob Richards is a good friend of ours. Now, there's some other famous people in the business. Now, I don't know, there's really not any need to get involved and tell you about a lot of them, but what we want to do basically is just really to get you to a point of being excited about the business. Now, Okay, you've set your goals, you've determined your time involvement in the business, and the next thing we'll talk about is this. How do you get people over to see the plan? All right, now, when you saw the plan tonight, you saw the plan basically under a condition that you didn't know what you were coming to see. All right, so now, let's look at that for a second. Why do we not tell people Amway products are selling? When you invite somebody to see the plan, okay, you saw the plan tonight. Now, what we're going to do is that we're going to set up a meeting 2 nights later in your house. I'm going to come over and show the plan. But when you invite people, do not tell them Amway products are selling. Why? Okay, because of several reasons. Now, if a person knows anything about the Amway business, they may know somebody that used to sell some product in their neighborhood. Okay, they may know somebody like myself. If they know somebody like us, maybe that lives in a house that we live in, or maybe somebody like Dexter Yeager or Bill Britt or Tom Payne, Dr. Tom Payne down in Gunnersville, Alabama, they may say, man, yeah, that's exciting. I want to be involved in that business. But what if they don't know that about the business? What if they assume that it's some small operation, some Mickey Mouse deal? Give them the same opportunity that you and I had, and that was to see the plan with an open mind. The person that called me and showed the plan to me did not tell me what it was, and I am glad this day that he didn't. I have 5 directs that personally told me one thing. They said, Rick, if you would have told me what it was, we wouldn't have gotten into business. All 5 of those directs today are either pearls or emerald directs making incomes of over $20,000 a year out of this business. They are glad I didn't tell them. So I'm just saying, don't tell them. Now, in getting a prospect list, let me tell you where to get your prospect list. Go back to some basic things that you've got. First of all, who did you write Christmas cards to this year? Okay? Who are some friends that you live beside of? Who do you go to church with? Who do you work with? Who did you work with? What about your neighbors? What about some relatives? Go down through the list of people that you know and write down everybody that you can think of on the list. Pull the ammogram that you were given tonight out. Pull it out and look through it and look at the occupations in the ammogram. And then after you look at the occupations in there, write down anybody that you know that's a doctor, anybody that you know that's a printer, anybody that you know that's a truck driver, a school teacher. Who do you know that's a college professor? Get as long a list of names as you can. Now, let's go to the meeting. How are you going to set up the meeting? You call the people and invite them. A couple pointers on it. First of all, put a clock in front of the telephone. Do not talk over 90 seconds. All right? Do not talk over 90 seconds. Pick the telephone up, and here are some questions that you ask the person. Now, if I were calling you to invite you to a meeting, I would pick the phone up, and my first question to you would be, is this. Hi, Bill, how you doing? Great. Listen, let me ask you something. What are you doing next Tuesday night? Or what are you and Mary doing next Tuesday night? Okay, oh, you're not doing anything. Fine. Listen, do you remember a couple of weeks ago, we were talking, and you mentioned something about you wanted to build a new house, but you seemed to be in a financial situation that you couldn't. Okay, listen, I think I've run into something that we can solve that problem. I want you and Mary to be over here at the house Tuesday night at 8 o'clock, and I want you to meet somebody, a good friend of mine, and we're going to talk some business. Okay? Now, be there at 8 o'clock. Listen, I'll see you then. Okay, now that's an approach that we use. Here's basically what we're saying. First of all, you ask them what they're doing that a particular night. The second thing is, if they're doing something, ask them to cancel it. Ask them to cancel it. Now, if they're doing something and you ask them to cancel it, they're going to have more respect for what you're doing. All right? The third thing is, after they say, well, I guess we can come over. I guess we don't have anything. Now, they may ask a question, and they may not. A lot of times, people don't even ask a question. But now you've got your curiosity up. Just remember this. It takes about 5 seconds to get curiosity up, enough that they'll come and see the plan. Okay, so now they may ask you something, well, hey, Ralph, what are you talking about? Hey, Rick, what are you talking about? Give me some idea about what you're talking about. Now, here is a key phrase to remember and do this way. Okay, listen. Hey, Bill, I really can't promise you anything, so I'd rather not get into any details over the telephone. So if they start asking you questions, I really can't promise you anything, and I'd rather not get into any details over the telephone. Bill, I really don't have time to explain anything over the telephone. It's too involved to get into over the phone. And what you need to do is we'll sit down Tuesday night and go through everything, and you'll understand everything there. Okay, is that all right with you? That'll be fine. Okay, fine. And you hang the phone up. Don't try to explain anything over the phone. I made one mistake in this business. I called my first best prospect up, my best friend. He asked me some questions, and I tried to explain it to him over the telephone. He, to this day, has not gotten into business. Okay, so just don't try to explain anything over the phone. Now, in inviting people, invite twice as many people as you want to show up at the meeting. Invite twice as many people as you want to show up at the meeting. Now, you're going to get asked questions if you expect questions. If you do get some questions, like I said, handle it. Well, I can't really go into any details. I don't have time to get into any details over the telephone. Okay, now, if you come up with questions, if somebody does come up and say, is it Amway? If you get that question, let me tell you how to handle that. The only thing that you need to say there is this, is if a person asks me, is it Amway? My response is, what are you talking about? Or, what's that? Now, let me tell you, if you get that question, ask, what are you talking about? And then shut up and listen. Don't say anything. And let them explain to you what they're talking about. They may come back with something like, well, it's that door-to-door thing, or it's some kind of Mickey Mouse deal, or it's not really something, and just listen and just say, well, I really don't understand what you're talking about. I tell you what, come on over Tuesday night, and we'll explain what we're talking about. And hang the phone up. That's it. Now, I to this day have never had anybody walk out of a meeting mad. Anybody we've ever shown the plan to, we've had good response. People are excited and interested in making money. Now, so we take off now, and we're going to set the meeting up. If you want 10 couples there, invite 20 couples that say they're going to be there, because you're going to have babysitter problems. You'll have people that have to work late. You'll have sickness. You'll have a lot of things. Meetings will come up. So if you want 10 couples, invite 20. Okay, now let's go to the meeting. Now, when we have the meeting, when you start the night when people come to your house, the first thing that you put on, and watch the way you dress, but the first thing you put on is a smile, all right? A great big smile from ear to ear, and when they walk up to the door and see you smiling, the first question they're going to ask is, what have you been doing? Now, they think you done gotten something, and boy, they're going to be worried about what you're doing. And you're going to build curiosity. The next thing is look like a businessman. And when I say look like a businessman, I explained tonight how I mean look like a businessman. Okay, business people, if you want to know what a business person looks like, go down to the airport and look at businessmen getting on a plane, going to do business, and you can find out what a businessman looks like. Okay? So now do that. In the meeting that night, when I come in, you will have some chairs, or you may have people sitting in your den. If you need extra chairs, don't put them out until the people come in the door. Keep them in a closet or keep them in a back bedroom. And when people come in, just bring out what you need. Let's say that you had 10 couples invited, and we wind up that we've got 7 couples there. Don't mention anything about the couples that don't show up, or we're expecting more. By 8:15, we are going to start the meeting. I'll start the meeting. Maybe you've introduced me to some of the people beforehand, but at 8:15, we start the meeting, and here's the way you introduce me. All right? One thing is that the board has already been set up in the room, and I'm going to be at your house during the meeting, so the board is set up, and you would introduce me and say, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like for you to meet Rick Setzer. He's a good friend of mine, and he is a very successful businessman. I want you to listen to him. He will be explaining the business tonight, so listen to him with all ears. The main thing is for you to put a stamp of approval on me, okay? Now, I draw the circles, and I show the plan. After I show the plan, we come to the break. Now, at the end of the meeting, we have break, and that's where the coffee and the refreshments and the cookies and stuff are served at that time. So when we start having the break, just remember this. Keep the conversation on the business. You gals, make sure that you keep the conversation on the business. Us guys will keep it on the business. And then at the end of the meeting, we're going to give everybody some literature and some products and different things to take home. Now, it would normally be boxed up, and in the box, it may be in one of our white boxes. Some people call them information boxes. You call them anything that you want to. It's going to be information for people to take home that night. All right, so when people take that home, they will have products, they will have some tapes, they will have some literature that they can listen to, that they can read, and that they can try. Okay? So that's going to be the end of the meeting now. So I think that as far as covering that, right, and we want to move on, like I said, as fast as we can. Another thing in meetings, let me mention this, is that to be sure that we don't have any children in the room. For heaven's sakes, don't put any children in the room. The next thing is get all the cats and dogs out of the house and try not to get them together so that they're fighting outside. Be sure to put the board at the other end of the room away from the traffic, okay? Put it away from the traffic area in the room. Now, so we've covered several things. We talked about setting the meeting up, how you introduce me. All you need to do is tell people that I'm in the business. And then the decision pack, when we hand the decision pack out, we're going to be sure that in a couple of days we get back in touch with those people. Now, at the meeting after the meeting, in the meeting after the meeting, when we finish up totally, my goal is to finish that meeting in less than 2 hours. so that people can come in and leave by about 10 to 10:15. I want them to be able to leave by that time. They're going to ask some questions after it's over with. You be sure and watch me and listen and watch what I do, because you're going to be doing that in the future, all right? Now, is there anybody got any questions about anything? Is there anything that I didn't cover in this part to this point? Can you think of anything that needs to be mentioned yet? Or does that cover and get us pretty well down to the wire? You think you can invite somebody? You think you can get somebody to a meeting with what we've covered right here? You know how to do the meeting now? You know how to follow up after the meeting is over with? Do you know what to do? I'm going to ask Bob to go ahead and cover some of that stuff here in a few minutes. Okay. I don't know of anything else. I think that'll pretty well cover us to this point. If we have any questions, anybody have any comments or anything about that? Oh, okay. Good question. One question is this. What happens if you call 3 or 4 people on the phone and for some reason it's not clicking? You're not getting some good positive response. Please do this. Don't call 30 prospects and keep on calling and keep on trying to do something. Make sure that if you call 3 or 4 prospects or 3 or 4 people and you're not getting some good positive response, hang the phone up and call your sponsor and let him tell you. Maybe you're doing a little bit of something wrong. So be sure not to call 30 or 40 people and start messing people up. If you call 3 or 4 and you don't get some good positive response, cut it off, okay? And hang the phone up and call your sponsor. Any other comment, Hal? Anybody got? Does that about cover everything then? Okay. Now, what I want to do now is this. I'm going to turn the thing over to Bob and let him cover some things, and we'll wrap this thing up here in just a few minutes. But there's some other parts of the meeting, and I'll let Bob wrap it up. So what about, let's bring old Bob Crisp up, a Diamond Direct from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and let's show him what Greenville thinks of it.
The best thing for you to remember and to keep in mind is that as you're doing the follow-up, you are the doctor. They are the patient. You take this doctor-patient relationship, you major in the fact that you are the one who shared the greatest opportunity in the world with them, and that you have something for them, and that they have the opportunity of deciding, of making the right decision, okay? If you give them all the information that they need to have, they will make the right decision if your attitude is one of, hey, this is exciting, we're ready to go. We know you're excited about it. Let me give you an example. Kay Fletcher has a direct today that when he showed them the business, they listened to the tapes, they read the book, they left them on the television beside the door. When he came over to the house that night, they were going to tell him, we've decided not to do it. He came by 6:15 on his way home from work to do a little follow-up. He comes whistling up the walk. They'd already decided they were going to meet him at the front door together for power. You know, they was going to do it together. They was going to tell him they were not going to get in the business. He comes whistling up the walk with a spring in his step and a smile on his face, and they met him at the door. And before they could ever say anything, he said, "Hi, listen, it's great. We're so excited about you guys getting in the business. Thursday night we're going to have a great meeting. You're going to invite a few people over. It's going to be just great. It's wonderful. We're going to walk the beaches of the world together. I'm so excited about you getting in." And they said, we just didn't have the heart to tell him we weren't going to do it. So we had the meetings. Half a dozen people got into business, and here we are today making a lot of money from the business, very, very free, very financially secure as a result of a person's attitude. And so I'm telling you that in your follow-up, your attitude is the basic reason why people will get into business. If you go in the house with the attitude, well, I wonder what they're going to do, chewing your fingernails with a very dour expression, very nervous, you know, sweat breaking out on your forehead and your upper lip, and you're very, very nervous, what are they going to do, what are they going to do? I can tell you what they're going to do. They don't have any confidence in you, and they're not going to get in. But on the other hand, if you walk up with a smile on your face and you have a little bit of vigor and enthusiasm in your walk, and you have a firmness in your handshake, and you look them in the eye, and you're really confident, hey, it's going to be exciting as you get into business, we're going to have a great time, and you really put it forth that you're going to help them, and you really show concern for them. Now, I don't mean that you have to be a glad-hander, false backslapper, and try to do it that way. I'm not talking about insincerity. I'm talking about a sincere, genuine enthusiasm that says to them, we're an important person, and we want to see you in our business because we think our business is very important, and we think it's very much for you as it is for us. The question that Rick said to use during the opportunity meeting is a question that I like to use in the follow-up, and I think it's a very important one. So you write this one down, and you use it just exactly this way. And that is, when you go in and you sit down with them, the first question out of your mouth is the question that you ask them perhaps in the meeting after the meeting. John, what did you like best about the Amway business? What did you like best? Now, perhaps he has already told you as you walk in the door. Perhaps he's already told you, look, we've decided right now, we've talked it over. Mary and I have talked it over, and we've decided that we're really not going to do it at this time. You look at him, you smile real big. You don't look down. You don't look depressed. You don't look away. You don't turn red in the face. You just smile at him and say, fine. Tell me something, John. What was it you liked best about the business? Now, that's a real disarming question because he's just now told you he wasn't going to get in. And now you're asking him to think positive about a business that he's not going to get into. And you say, look, John, if you were going to get in, who would be the first person you'd want to sponsor in the business? 2 questions. The first one, what did you like best? And then you shut up and you let them tell you what they like best about it. I mean, surely you like something about it, John. I mean, if nothing else, you had to like the way I did it. You did think I did a good job, right? I mean, you had to like the money. Almost everybody likes the money, right? What would you spend the money for, John? Why did you like the money? Xerox spent over $100,000 trying to discover what the most powerful, pointed question was in the human language. And they discovered that it was those 3 little letters, W-H-Y, why. And most of us spend too much time trying to sell a plan when if we would listen, somebody else, they would hang themselves. They would talk themselves right into it. So you ask the question, if you were going to get in the business, John, who would you like to sponsor first? Who would be the first person you'd show this business to? Usually they'll kind of stutter, or maybe they'll kind of stammer, or, well, I don't know. You help them out a little bit with this question. Well, other than myself, who's the sharpest person you know? Other than myself, who's the sharpest person you know? And you do that one with a very big smile on your face, right? And he says, well, I don't know. I guess that would have to be old, that has to be old Pete Dillinger out here. Oh, what does Pete do? Well, he's an engineer at Douglas. Does he like it? How long's he been at it? Ask him some questions about Pete's. Why would you show this thing to Pete? Well, he's just crazy enough to go for something like this. Oh, really? Okay. Well, how many children does Pete have? What's Pete do when he's not playing engineer at Douglas? He likes to play golf. Great. Is he a good golfer? About like you, huh? Okay. Listen, I'd like to meet Pete someday. You'd introduce me to him, wouldn't you? Great. Now listen, don't tell him what I'm in, okay? We'll give him the same chance to see this business with an open mind that you had. Okay, other than Pete and myself, who would be the next person you'd like to show the business to? Now, I'm going to get him to go through about 3 people. Now, he's reviewed 4 facts, 4 things. He's reviewed what he liked best about the business and 3 people that he would show the business to, half a diamond ship. I believe that by the time he's told you about the 3rd person who would be good in the business, he's going to start thinking, listen, if I like the money in this business and I know 3 people that would be good at it, I'd be a fool not to get in, wouldn't I? Fine. Next Thursday evening, 8 o'clock, your house, invite 15 people over, and we'll be here to show the plan. Here's how I want you to invite me, or introduce me. And that's just as easy. You've taken a guy who's told you no. He really didn't know what he was saying no to. You've got to believe it. He really didn't know what he was saying no to. So you just turn that objection around and give him the opportunity to make the right decision, which is, I'm ready to go. That's the one he really wants to make anyway. He just doesn't realize that's the one he wants to make. So you help him make that decision. I'm convinced that too many times we take no for an answer when people don't really mean no. They just mean you haven't given me enough information to make a wise decision. And because of that, I'm just as scared of what other people will say, and my life is really ruled by a committee called they. And so I'm afraid what they will say. Now, if you can convince me, however, that you're not afraid and that you can lead me through the darkness and show me the light, then I'll go with you. Let's see your confidence. Let's see your moxie. Let's see if you're really convinced that what you've got is really for me. And if you're really convinced that what you've got is really for me, then convince me that it's really for me. And if you've got that smile on your face and that genuine concern in your heart, you're going to do it. And so you convey those things to the person. Now, there's a couple other things that I like to do whenever I sit down. If I've gone to that point and they still haven't given me a positive response, but they seem to be now wavering. They're in the balances. They're the leaners, as we call them in the business. They haven't gotten in, but they're not really out yet either. So here's what I like for them to do. Take a yellow pad and draw a line right down the middle of the yellow pad. And on one side of the line, at the top of the page, write likes. And on the other side of the page, write dislikes. Or write advantages on one side and disadvantages on the other side. Now, start with the advantages. John, What do you see as being the basic advantages to doing a business like Amway? Now, I may have to help him. It may be the money, maybe the freedom, maybe security. Maybe we'll help him out with a couple, 3 other things, maybe material things that he would like to have. These are all advantages. We'll review all of the advantages. Gee, John, those look like a pretty good list of advantages. Are those all the advantages that you can think of? How about this? How about college education for the kids? How about, the ability to go to Hawaii? Maybe you've always dreamed of doing something like that. So you can relate to him some of his dreams. All right, now, John, what do you see really as being the major drawbacks to being in this business? All of a sudden, he can become very stumped. Or he may tell you, well, I really, selling the product would be a real hard thing for me to do. Now, maybe you're really beginning to uncover why John has decided not to get in. So you can all of a sudden begin to chip away at the real objection that John has. Whereas before it was a very general objection, now it's more specific, and you can deal with a specific. It's hard to deal with generalizations. So we'll put those down, and then all of a sudden, is that all the disadvantages, John, that you can think of about the business? He says, well, yeah, I guess so. I say, okay, now let's review the advantages again. You got all these advantages and these disadvantages. Now let me ask you this, John. Which outweighs the other? The advantages or the disadvantages? Thursday evening at 8 o'clock, invite 15 people over to your house. I'll be there about 8:15. Here's how I want you to introduce me. We don't talk about the kit. We're not interested in selling kits. We're talking about the meeting. All right, now there's some objections that come up in the plan and come up sometimes in your follow-up. What are some of the major objections? What are some of the objections that you're used to hearing? Anybody? Yeah.
Well, one of the major objections I've heard is they say that Amway is a door-to-door seller. What do you have to say on that?
Okay, that's a good question. Everybody's, the door-to-door selling, the fact that I can't overcome the objection, or how do you overcome the objection that I'm going to have to sell the product, and how do we sell the product? First of all, I tell them we don't sell products door-to-door. Rich and Jay have both gone on national television, radio, periodicals of every kind, and said that Amway does not sell products on a door-to-door basis. However, we are a retail selling organization. We do make our money by the virtue of the fact that we sell products. And so we're interested in selling the products. We sell them on a preferred customer basis. Now, a preferred customer is someone that we have an appointment with. It's someone that many times is a referral from someone else that has usually seen the opportunity or has become a customer as a result of having seen the opportunity at some point in time, and they refer us to them or the customer to us. Many times we'll get someone call us as a result of one of our existing customers referring them to us. We have 6 customers, for example, in our neighborhood that resulted from one customer. One would tell the next door neighbor that they got their Amway products from the Crisp that live over on 99th East Avenue, and so they would call us, and then that lady told another lady who told another lady who told another, and we finally ended up with 6 customers on that block from people that we got referrals from. So most of our customers are referrals, and we like to call them preferred customers. We didn't get those customers by selling products on a door-to-door basis. What are some of the other objections?
Mom, how do you handle the question of saturation?
Okay, Kermit, the question of saturation always comes up with the engineering types, with people that have have a statistical background, and they can very easily pull out their little pocket calculator, and they can figure out how, at what point in time, everybody in the whole world will be in the Amway business. And so I like to cover fairly much from this angle. And I suppose there are several different angles that you could use, but here's the one I found to be the best example of all. And that is simply, I picked up my little girl from school one time, and I saw all these children coming out of school, 1st graders, 2nd graders, 3rd graders, 4th graders, 5th graders, 6th graders, all these kids. And I realized at the time that all of them were going to be moving into junior high school at some point, on into high school, and they'd be moving on into college. I happened to pick up a U.S. News and World Report here not too long ago, that on the very front page, there was in red block letters, 75,000 new jobs needed in America every week. So I happen to think, well, what are all those people going to do? What are they going to do? They have to do something. Also, I read an article in Fortune magazine that today there are more people with 2 jobs than ever before. In other words, there are more people diversifying in their incomes than ever before. So if more people are looking for jobs than ever before, if more people are coming out of college than ever before with no jobs, if there are more people with 2 jobs than ever before, then saturation really is not much of a problem. Matter of fact, in reality, we are actually losing to the population explosion in the United States. I would like to sponsor the guy that thinks that he could saturate any given area. There's a little town in Nebraska, I think Hager, Nebraska, that's reported to have 9 direct distributors and has a population of 200 people. And so saturation is really not much of a problem. What are some of the other objections that you get?
Bob, how do you handle the pyramid objection?
Okay, the question arises at times, well, that looks like pyramid selling to me. How do you handle that pyramid objection? Well, Amway is not a pyramid. First of all, pyramid selling is illegal in 36 states. I believe it's 36, maybe 37 today. 36 states in the United States, pyramid selling is illegal. And so you have to look at those states that pyramid selling is illegal, and Amway operates in all 36 of them. Oklahoma, the state that I'm from, happens to be one of those states that pyramid selling is illegal. And here Amway is operating out in front of God, the FTC, the Attorney General, and everybody. So there has to be some reason why the Attorney General of the state of Oklahoma considers Amway to not be a pyramid. And I think we have to look at the characteristics of a pyramid to be able to know the difference. First of all, there are 3 areas in a pyramiding that makes it a pyramid. One is a headhunter's fee or a large franchise fee that you have to pay to get in for actually what they call in the trade blue sky. You're buying blue sky, $5,000, $2,500, $1,250, for which large commissions are paid, and you get nothing in return. No products, nothing. All you're guaranteed is the right to sell. In Amway, there is no blue sky. There is no headhunter's fee, no large commissions paid for getting in the business. The second thing is that in most pyramids, they have what's known as product loading or an inventory loading, a minimum inventory requirement that you have to buy, a stock purchase, in order to operate the business that you're now in. So Amway has no minimum inventory requirements. As a matter of fact, Amway has a 70-30 rule, which prohibits anyone from buying more than 30% stock in any given order. So 70% of the products that you buy have got to be pre-sold at the retail level. The third factor is that in Amway, at the 7,500 level, once you've maintained that level for 3 months consecutively, you reach the direct distributor level and you begin dealing directly with the company. In a pyramid, you would never be dealing directly with the company. You would always be dealing directly with your sponsor and with your line of sponsorship. In Amway, after you reach that level of direct distributor, you are a sole proprietorship dealing directly with a major manufacturer happening to be Amway Corporation. Are there any other objections that you deal with? Time? Somebody mentioned time. You know, people are always coming up with the time objection, you know. Well, I'd really like to do this, Bob, but I really haven't got the time. And I usually look at that and I say, yeah, I understand. That's the reason why we shared the business with you to begin with. Most successful people like yourself really haven't got the time. And I know that the reason why you haven't got the time is because you are success-minded. And so I want to just say this very much to you. Do you have anything that you're presently doing with 8 to 10 hours a week of your time that is not paying you the kind of return or dividend that Amway could pay you? In other words, do you have some kind of a civic function that could be deleted? Maybe you have an evening, a bowling evening. Maybe you have an evening that you're not actively involved in something that is a productive enterprise. I know that you're going to have to reorient your schedule and you're going to have to reorient your priorities and reorder your priorities in order to be involved in this business. That's why we showed it to you to begin with. Time really has to be judged in return that you're getting on your time. Is that not right? So I just have to simply ask you this. Don't you have some place, some time that needs to be converted into productive enterprise? And so we're looking right now at people that are getting in the business and reordering their priorities so that they can become involved in Amway on at a productive enterprise. And almost anyone can find the time. 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whatever time it happens to be, but we can get together. I guarantee you can find time. If you found time to get to this opportunity meeting tonight, you have the time to do this business. It may be 1 night a week, it may be 2, it may be 5. Whatever it is, the best thing that you can do is to get started now. So time is of the essence, and I understand exactly what you're saying. And I use a little system. It's an old system, but it works very beautifully, and that is the feel, felt, found system for handling objections. Gee, John, I know how you feel. I felt the same way. But let me tell you what I found out about time. I found out that if there was enough money involved, I could find the time. Right? And if you'd be honest with me, you could find the time. And really what you're telling me, John, is I haven't interested you with enough money, right? So let me sit down and show you the other 4 ways of making money. Maybe we can really interest you and get you to reorder your priorities a little bit. And you'll find the time. If the money was right, you'd find the time, wouldn't you, John? Now, time objection, many times I kill that objection in the plan, at the very front of the plan. Whenever I talk about the 2 to 5 year plan, 8 to 10 hours a week, that's the time to kill the time objection. That's when I ask the question, is the time and the money right? And I try to get as many, when I'm doing a smaller meeting, I try to get as many people as I can to give assent to that at that particular point in time. All right, now you've got a new distributor or you've got a customer. You've done the follow-up, you've handled objections, and now you've got a person that is either going to fit into one of 2 categories. Either they are now going to become a distributor and they're going to set up their first meeting and have their first meeting, or they're going to become a customer. Either way, you win. Either way, you win. So you either sell them products or you make them a distributor. And at that point in time, as they set up their meeting, you don't worry about the kit. You just set up their meeting. They've got the decision pack. At that point, they should give you a check for the decision pack should they have decided to become a distributor. If they have decided to become a customer, then they should select a few of the products, perhaps the products that are in the decision pack, perhaps a few of the products that are in the decision pack plus some other products. But at that point, you should sell them their products if they decide to become a customer, or the decision pack if they decide to become a distributor. Either way, they're going to need products. So at that point, you decide either I've got a customer or I've got a distributor. And you make that decision, you alone can make that decision at that point in time based on the evaluation, on the information that they give you when you ask them the right questions. So the next point is then, you've got a distributor. How do you get him started? What do you do with him? Well, you do with him exactly what your sponsor did with you. You sit down with them. You find out why they're entering the business. You ask them the question, very simply, do you intend to build an organization or would you like to have a small retail business? They're going to tell you 99 times out of 100, they want to build an organization. They want to do just what you're doing. So here's what you tell them. Make your prospect list. And you go through the whole system that we just went through with you. Get your prospect list, get out the old yearbooks from college, yearbooks from high school, go back to get into the yellow pages of your telephone book and look through the yellow pages at the different occupations, and you look in the A's and you say, well, who do I know that's an attorney? Look in the B's, who do I know that's a baker? Who do I know that's a plumber? Who do I know that's a doctor? Who do I know that's a lawyer? Who do I know that's this, that, or the other? And so as you go through the telephone book, I guarantee you by the time you go through the occupations in the telephone book, by the time you reach M, you'll have enough names. And I don't mean taking the names out of the phone book. I mean taking the occupations and remembering someone that you know that is a baker or a butcher or a candlestick maker or whatever it happens to be. You'll find enough names that you'll be able to show the business the first few times that you have your meetings. You'll have enough people to show the business to. So your prospect list will be very easy. And you say, Joe, listen, you're going to have your first meeting. And Joe's going to look at you and he's going to say, I don't like meetings. You say, that's okay, Joe. By the time you've had your first meeting, we're going to set up another meeting. And then we're going to have another meeting. And then after that, we're going to have another meeting, Joe. And after that, we're going to have another meeting. And by the time you've had about 10 meetings, Joe, you'll discover that you like having meetings, Joe. So that's all you got to do to get started. Set up your first meeting, and we'll get a few people over to your house, and you tell them how to introduce you. You go there. I always take their chalkboard and easel with me. I always take their whiteboard and easel with me, and I open it up at their first meeting. And then from then on, they've got their board and easel out. I like to do the first 3 opportunity meetings, and minimum of first 3 opportunity meetings for anyone that I personally sponsor. And then at that point in time, I'm going to get down and work with the most excited person that they sponsored, and then I'm going to do about 2 or 3 meetings with them and work with the person that they sponsor in the business, and just keep going in depth and finding another person and another person and another person and helping each one of those people that I can to become a success without spreading myself so thin that I don't have profitability and stability in my own business. The most important thing that you can remember, that in this business, you listen to tapes, you read books on a consistent basis, you listen to tapes, and you read books, you attend rallies and seminars every month, you go to your family reunion every year, you make your pen levels, you help your people set goals, you believe in yourself, you believe in the business, you believe in your upline, you believe in your downline. And some people don't think that's important, but it is. I know a lot of people in my organization today that wouldn't be in this business if I hadn't told them, I believe in you. I believe you can do it. I believe that you can become a diamond direct distributor. I believe you can be a double diamond. I call it creating the air of expectancy. Knowing that those people someday, without a doubt, will be in Diamond Club. Those people, if they do the right things, those people will have an income that will totally, completely change their lives in terms of the things that they can have, the places they can see. And when you walk the beaches of the world with us, you'll discover what I'm talking about, that if you've changed your attitude, made that commitment to your business, decided that you're going to be at the top, know in your heart that what you're doing is worthwhile, not only for the money, but that you're doing something worthwhile for other people, you'll discover that Rich and Jay, the Amway Corporation, your line of sponsorship, your direct distributor, your upline Pearl, Emerald, and Diamond are most interested in seeing you succeed. They are most interested. They will never give you any information that will be bad for your business knowingly. Never. The supplies that you get in the business, your books, tapes, chalkboard and easel, all those things can be got by ordering from your upline. Anytime you've got a situation in your group, feel free to contact your upline direct. Anytime that you don't feel like you've been treated fairly, you call your upline direct. And if you don't get satisfaction there, you call your upline Pearl or Emerald or Diamond, because we're open to seeing to it that you succeed in this business. And we want to see you succeed. Every single person that comes in this business, we want to see them succeed. We have no reason for holding anyone back. And that's the greatest thing that I can think of about a business that will reach down to you and say, look, we want you to come along with us. We want you to be on the beaches of the world with us. It's like the old frog that Kay Fletcher talked about that was in the rut, and he couldn't get out. And he jumped and he jumped and he jumped, and he couldn't get out. Finally, his buddy came along, and he looked down in that rut, and he saw him down there, and he reached his hand down, and they could, whatever it is the frogs have got. And he reached down in there, and the frog jumped up, and he just missed it. Every time he just missed it. Never could get it. Never could quite touch it. And finally, in frustration, the friend just kind of hopped down the road. And after a while, he looked around, and here come that frog that was in the rut. And he looked at him, he said, I don't get it. He said, you were irrevocably and irretrievably in the rut. There was no way you could possibly get out. How did you do it? How did you get out? And the other frog looked at him, and he said, I had to. There was a truck coming. I had to. There was a truck coming. And all I got to do is say to you this, like Rick said a little earlier tonight, if not Amway, what's it going to be? Because, folks, there's a truck coming. Time's running out. Every day I look in the mirror, I'm a little grayer, a little more hair turns loose, and I've got a little more wrinkles than I had before, and my body tells me after 9 sets of tennis that I'm not as young as I used to be. And I realize it's time to do it today. And it's time to move on and to find something worthwhile, something to expend your energy for, something that you're building for, not only for today, but for your future, so that someday you will walk the beaches of the world with us. If you set your objectives, keep your eye on your goal, keep your eyes off the garbage, listen to tapes, read books, attend rallies and seminars, then I guarantee you, we will see you on the beaches of the world. Good night.